All right, just want to remind everybody that all meetings will be audio and video taped. They'll be shown on the Township of Ocean's Community Cable Channel, Channel 22, Verizon Fios, and Channel 77 on Cablevision. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Napolitani?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Fisher?
Here.
Council members Achara?
Here.
Kaplan?
Here.
Terry?
Here.
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied, and a copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster, posted in Town Hall and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk on December 14th, 2023. Items for discussion, we're going to start with Greg.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Okay.
First item, the 22 road program, that's the Roosevelt, Turner, Walnut, that's gonna start next Monday. They're gonna be back in town, they're gonna start on Roosevelt, and they're gonna go to Walnut, then they're gonna pave the other roads they didn't get around to paving, which is like the section of Deal Road.
Right here.
Yeah.
Good.
Section.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we're also gonna, well, then the other section we're getting into the fall program. The,
I'm sorry, other section of
did I say that? Deal Road between 35 and Logan, the south side.
Right.
Because we took that out before because of the
Right.
shopping center. That's gonna be in the fall program.
Beautiful.
Along
Thank
with Brookside and all those. Next one is the building at 1001 Wickapeco. We're moving along pretty good. We've finalized most of the interior finishes. The roof went in, the painting's done, the counters are in, we just gotta get countertops. The bathrooms are, floors, the walls are in, the petitions are gonna go in next week. The fixtures are in. They just have to put the vanity in because they're gonna get a countertop. Everything's moving along pretty good. They were just drop ceilings in. HVAC units showed up on Tuesday. Those are in. Just gotta pipe them up, connect them up. So we're in pretty good shape.
I took a walk in there today with Mike. The only question is that back section where they chopped up the cement. What's going on there?
Yeah, what happened was when they put the door in, that
Mhm.
back door to go out to the back, a bunch of there was a mortar, skin mortar coating
Right.
on there and all popped up.
Okay.
So we went around and tapped.
What was that,
it
like
with
a
hammer.
skim coat
Yeah.
that they put on there?
But they didn't seal it to the other floor.
Really?
So it was, I mean, if you tapped it, it was hollow. So
Right.
that's what we did. We tapped all the way around in that whole area. Wherever it was loose, they picked that up. So now they're gonna put a grout coat in there and
You're gonna put a what?
put a layer of grout in there, not
Okay.
shrink grout.
Right,
And
and then
then-
what, they're gonna
Then-
skim it again, or just lay the floor on?
They just do that, then they'll put felt fabric down and put the floor down.
Okay,
So
what's the time frame on, is there anything that has to be looked at before you skim? Because I saw it all chopped up, it looked like we had some work to do there.
No, they're pretty much gonna just square it up
Oh,
tomorrow,
okay.
and they'll probably do it on Monday, and it'll be done by Tuesday.
Yeah, I saw all the equipment in there, the
Yeah.
one golf simulator section, so, yeah, moving along.
Yeah, the golf simulator guy's starting on Monday. He
Right.
said it'll be 3 days, so the 3 caves in the back and the one private room up in the front, those will be totally done. So the only thing we'll have to do is put the floor in the hallways
Right,
and connect all these. They have to just put the connection to the electrical outlets, put all little plugs in. So it's not a whole lot of work left on the
did we
inside.
did we get the cut card squared away yet?
No, the cut card's gonna be on Monday.
Monday, okay.
He was gonna do the work today, it rained all day, so he's
Right.
gonna do that tomorrow.
Yeah, I figured they weren't
Can't-
getting anything done
You
outside.
can't get that inspected tomorrow because we're closed.
Yep,
So get that inspected first thing Monday, get the cutting card and
and then they'll get their
I'll
electric.
get their electric on.
Yeah, I think that was the, that was the one thing, the one issue in there, and then there was, the plumbing issue was pretty interesting, the one that I heard about that, looking for the, the main.
Well, no, the problem was there was a valve broken in the basement.
Right,
And the plumber said somebody just, it wasn't his contract to fix it.
Right.
So when they went to look for the shut off, they didn't
Yeah.
really look for it. And
yeah.
amazingly, New Jersey American Water didn't say they found it out there, but it was
Right.
right there on the curb.
Yeah, I mean, common sense, I would go to the end of the property and
Yep,
look for
towards the
that.
street.
Yeah, it's usually
And
where they are.
Plus, when it was painted on the street that it was right there, it was pretty easy to find.
Yeah, not too far.
Greg, do we have an anticipated date of this opening?
Well,
Or at least a ballpark?
we probably 99% of the work will probably be done in 2 weeks. There'll be a couple finishes, like we might have to, like we're holding off putting the front door in because what's gonna happen, we just authorized the concrete, the outside concrete sidewalks and the lighting, those will both be done the week of the 8th. So 2 weeks from tomorrow, those outside things will be done. I'm working on the paving. So generally, by the 3rd week of April, we should be pretty much done with everything, barring any problems.
Okay.
So we're gonna probably be right there at the end of April like we said we would be. And then we got, the only other caveat is the roof, which is on the agenda tonight. Last time I was here, we talked about the roof, the metal roof, and I was trying to work it out with the budget. Everything was looking great, but I can't squeak it in because of this floor problem now. I wasn't gonna have enough money and I can't go over 20%. So I have to bid that. So tonight on the agenda is an authorization to bid for the metal roof. We have it in the budget, I just don't have more than 20%. I don't have a cap left in the 20% for the existing contract that I have. So we'll move it to a separate contract, so we authorization to bid, I'm gonna bid that next Wednesday, we're gonna receive bids the 18th, and I have to ask 3 of you to have a special council meeting on the 19th so I can get that awarded. So we can have that done by the end of April. Because that will take 2 weeks to get in, so that's probably gonna be the first week of May, we'll be finished with that.
The reason for the roof was the reason you brought up at the last meeting with the beams or something that was,
No, this is the outside mansard roof. It's the cedar shakes out there. It's in really, really poor shape. And instead of putting, well, you can't really put a shingle roof on it because it's too heavy in my opinion. So we would have to put a new cedar shake roof on, which is extremely expensive. And this guy offered to give us the metal roof at a very reduced rate, so that's why we're gonna put a metal roof on the mansard style roof, since we had availability in the budget.
and I gotta ask, why wasn't that originally designed?
Cause I wasn't sure it was gonna fit in the budget. Because when I got all the budget together, I was worried about all the inside problems because we had so much money that was available to me, 1.5, and I wasn't sure we were gonna make it, and I'm gonna come in at about 1.4, almost 1.5 when I do the roof. That's the last thing I'm doing, because now I know my budget, because I got the outside things on, I got the sidewalk, the lights all are gonna be connected, I got prices, quotes in for that, we've already authorized. Paving, I've got quotes in for that, so I know what that's gonna cost me. And I know I have like 70,000 left and the roof is 62. So that's how close it was. That's why, we were worried about getting the inside of the building done, and I didn't want to take the chance of being over the budget and have to go back a whole nother round.
Okay, thanks.
And really, truly, also the mansard roof doesn't have anything to do, it doesn't leak. If it leaks, it's outside the walls of the building. So even though, I don't think it leaks, but even if it did, it would drip down to the overhang and into the grass. It doesn't leak inside the building. We did the flat roof on the top over as part of the contract for the building.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay, so let's skip through all those. The next thing was, last time we talked about a while back, we did some security walls for the building. For this building, Human Services, and the library. Not the library, I forget the other building. But the cost was pretty bad, so we kind of shelved it for a while, but there's now, Senator Booker's office is putting out a grant. And under part of one of those grants is Homeland Security, which this would go into security of a municipal building. So we're gonna apply for that grant under that funding, and if we get it, we'll do the walls. If we don't, then we'll discuss how we're gonna do that in the future, especially with the future prospects and knowing what we're gonna do. Probably not something we wanna entertain. And then the last thing on my list was the Kramer Court Bridge. We took down the trees on Monday. The soils work was supposed to happen today, but it rained all day. It's gonna happen tomorrow, I believe. I gotta double check that. Hope it's not too wet for them to get in there. And then when that gets done, that information will be sent to the structural guy, and he'll be done in a couple weeks, and we'll have that out to bid as soon as we can, but probably sometime by the end of April.
And did we determine whether or not the work can be done between now and?
Yeah, the only thing that couldn't be done after April 1st was the trees. So those came down on Monday. The Public Works took them down for me. And we did shift, just so you know, part of the requirements of the permit that we got required us to avoid taking any large trees down. So when we get out there and we try to put this route through the trees on the easement that we had, we would have to take down probably 4 very large trees, like 30 inches or up. So we moved it over, put it on our open space lot. We'll put the trail there, and the bridge will go back to where it was before in the permit. And then went through where we only had to take down 6 relatively small trees compared to the rest of them. I think they were like 6 to 8 inches in diameter. So we took those 6 down, and the other side was clear. So we were just down there and we kind of concluded this opening.
Yeah. Who's measuring? And am I allowed to speak, ask a question?
That's
while
up
we're
to
on
the
topic?
mayor.
Yeah.
wait till
We
later.
want to finish his report, and then we'll do the questions.
I was done. That was my last thing.
Okay.
I saved that one for last.
Go ahead.
Should I stand up? or-
Yeah, sure. Just state your name
Ray Soroya.
and the address for the record.
Wellbrook Drive.
Thank you.
Speaking about the trees, I don't believe I watched the meeting from the 14th. I don't recall it being approved. And you're taking down trees for a project that hasn't been approved yet. So I'm not really sure how that works. If this were to not be approved, you took down trees for a project that is going nowhere. I'm not sure if the Shade Tree Commission has anything to do with that, if the Environmental Commission has anything to do with that, but the DEP, I don't recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe there was a vote at that meeting. I watched the video. There was a discussion about whether the trees could be taken down in time, but there was not an approval. That I didn't see any votes, and I watched the meeting twice. So my question is this another one of the situations that happens with, I'll just say it, Raymond Sacca, who we know is behind this project, that things are done or forced
to be
on
done.
the town to be done, and then forgiveness is asked after the fact.
No,
We know,
because-
we know it was done in March, so we avoid the April deadline for taking them down, and which would push the whole project back till September, but, you
Who's
know.
calling the shots here?
Yeah.
Is my question to
So
people.
So, in this particular case with the trees, we did have a verbal discussion at this table at the last meeting, which none of the council members objected to.
But
Yes.
nobody approved it.
It didn't have to be, it was singly approved by the manager, myself, because it's under the threshold, and we used Public Works to do it, we didn't do a contractor, whereby then we might have needed the council's approval.
So you could just clear the whole
And it
thing.
was, well, we took out the 6 trees that were necessary for the project. We expect to have, funding from the House of Worship coming to the township to take care of this project, and the town will accept it as a grant. So that's where we're at right now, and those funds are due to come in by the next meeting. It'll be before this body on, was it April 11th?
Sounds right.
April 11th, we will have, a resolution on that this body can approve to accept those funds.
Okay, so then, if it was discussed at the last meeting about whether you can take down the trees or not, why was it even a discussion if you can do it?
It was more of an advisory to the body, because, one, we need to let them know what's going on, and if I did get a few nays in there, then I probably wouldn't have given the authority to take the trees down, because then we would have run into some problems later on.
Yeah, 'cause with all due respect, it did not seem like it was put out for a, are you, not a formal vote, but a, do you approve or disapprove of this
That's not
happening?
necessary.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
and again, with all due respect, it seems that the facts on the ground of who knows what about where the money's coming from, when it's happening, who's doing what, changes from meeting to meeting.
Well,
And
I
which
resolved that.
As a citizen, as a resident watching, it doesn't bring me the most confidence about how things are done.
So, as of last meeting that you watched, totally agreed. 2 days after that meeting, I put a whole entire meeting together with the engineer, with the representatives from the House of Worship, and I put a memo together out to the council with a timeline of how everything's gonna flow. And I also met with the CFO to figure out how we receive those funds. So that's been resolved at this point.
Okay, so it was resolved after the meeting and would come
Correct.
at this
Yep.
meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
Is there a timeline that we could see?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can share the memo with you.
okay.
Just make sure,
trying-
just leave your emails or
Trying to get
whatever.
information.
Or actually, I should follow the right process.
Right.
I'm kind, I'll just give it to you. But if I start doing that, then
We'll watch
everybody.
it.
So, you have to fill out an Oprah request, because it is in writing, so it's an Oprahable document, and the clerk can share it with you.
Along with all the monies that are
It
transacted.
well, it gives you the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the engineer's cost estimate for the record was $500,000. So that's what we're looking at.
So Mr. Sacker's got a big check for after the tool gets the grant. Seems like we're just facilitating abuse of a nonprofit. If we want to look into it. I'll just be blunt at this point. Because it seems like things are just being pushed because somebody
Mr. Sacks'
wants
timeline.
it done. And, you know, again, we've had our neighbors meet with some of the council to express their objection. And is there any thought of asking people on the other side how many people actually need this bridge to warrant this grant and doing all this work and taking on the liability and dealing with the maintenance agreement? I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
again, the meetings are open, there was a petition that went around, I think they had about maybe 8 or 10 residents on it. They petitioned the DEP for the permits.
Right.
And if the community wants to send in some sort of letter with names on it, ultimately the council members have to accept the grant or not. If they don't accept the grant, the project's not moving forward.
When you
But
said
it's a
there was
little
a
hard to-
petition
Mhm.
with the permit, you talking about the objection letter?
Yeah, I'm saying if you
Okay.
had a whole community of folks that wanted to come out and petition myself as the manager or the council and say, we've got 100 people against this project.
Do we know how many people are for the project other than,
I'm being told it's being represented that the synagogue is paying for this, it's coming from there. That this is
but I'm
something
talking
that's
about the
one.
residents it's gonna serve and how many people it's gonna serve, because that's really at the heart of this issue. Because otherwise, then the synagogue could just write a check for $1 million and say, I wanna do X, Y, and Z, and it seems like it'll
The
be.
problem with that is you can't count heads on something, on everything. You know, there's going to be
Okay, but-
there's gonna be projects around town that are not going to, that are only going to, be supporting a handful of people. If you have on a
Understood.
small street, paving it, do you think that just because there's only a handful of
Does
people?
that negatively impact anybody to
I don't know.
pave a street?
Sometimes, some people don't want to. they
Give me
don't
an
want-
example of how anybody would care
honestly, really?
about paving and improving a street. I
Some
think that's a
people, some
poor
people
example.
some people don't like sidewalks. They like slate sidewalks. They don't want poured concrete sidewalks.
They don't like concrete
That's-
curbs. We've had plenty of questions
But
with that.
that's a matter of,
That's a no.
specific of
A
something
specific
that's
for
happening.
for that will only benefit a handful of people.
But a sidewalk is a sidewalk, a curb is a curb, what it's made out
A
of
bridge is a
minute.
bridge.
A bridge is a bridge, and then not a bridge is not a bridge, with all due respect.
Okay, stream is a stream.
I'm sorry?
Stream is a stream. I mean,
Okay, let's.
I don't know where we're going.
Going with it is that I don't think anybody knows what's going on here, frankly. Every meeting is something different. That's what it is. And things are being done without, it's greatly benefiting the community, apparently, is what everyone's been told, but the only person that's pushing this is one person. And so I would like to see the people on the opposite side of us
So
that are
then
really
what
for
the,
this.
what the manager just said was, if there's a petition that gets passed around and you present it to the manager, it'll be under consideration at that point, but there's been no pushback other than, I wasn't called to this meeting, I don't know which council members went, but, bottom line is, the manager just told you that the purpose of him advising us about the trees was to keep us informed because he runs the town.
That's fine. The
But
trees is
to
separate
say
issue.
that nobody knows what's going on in town is a little insulting. I'm just gonna tell you that. We know what's going on. We've been advised by the manager. He keeps us all informed as to what's going on. And he explained what his situation was as to why he approved that.
And that is fine. Based on the last meeting and what happened 3 days ago when he was woken up by trees being cut down, again, if I didn't come to the meeting and ask the question,
Right.
I'm not gonna know to make an Oprah request for a memo that I didn't know existed. So I'm not saying nobody knows what's going on, but
But
the
you,
story
but
seems
you
to
did state
change.
that.
Okay,
You did
you
state
could
that.
understand my frustration.
No, I get it. And,
This is
and-
going on the better part of 10 years. And they couldn't find an alternative location.
So of course, Raymond, an extra 300,000 to buy a house.
You can't sell
They
enough
give you-
synagogue memberships to warrant this cost. So I'm just trying to shed a
Honestly,
little
that has nothing to do.
No, nothing to
yeah,
do with
I mean,
it. I'm
Again,
telling, we're telling you.
I'm
Yeah,
just trying
no,
to-
no, I get what you're saying. and-
Again, he's been on the side of being able to push this project through, and we're on the, our backs against the wall with limited
Are there,
opportunity to.
let me ask you this, are there as many residents that are as passionately against this as you are? I mean,
Yeah, they all are residents, so we try to get them together.
but we haven't seen anybody. I mean, I don't know if
I
anybody
know
else
we can
at the
bring-
table's been
I don't know we can
approached.
bring people to this meeting.
Has anybody been
Again,
approached?
I don't know how to, I don't
Just by
wanna
this gentleman.
bombard a meeting like this. I don't know if we're allowed to just bring people.
Well, no, it's a public meeting, anybody can go.
Up here, but down.
No, no,
Yeah.
even up here
Okay.
and down there.
All right.
Absolutely,
But-
these are
We're
public meetings.
expecting somebody to come in about 10 minutes. He's running late as a doctor. He
Okay.
moves it.
But I guess my point is.
I mean, when he comes in, we can, we wanna move the agenda, I
Yeah,
mean,
move
we
the
can.
agenda if you wanna get
When he
back
comes
on.
in and he has something to say, we'll absolutely let him speak if he's here before we go into closed session.
And what I was saying is not, on the flip side is.
Right.
Have you gotten people on the other side to say, I'm for this, I want this? Because I think that should equally be
Dave,
something that's looked
the
into.
project came to the town,
Yep, and the checks are coming from the House of Worship.
right. So, we don't have any intricate dealings with the House of Worship. That's not for
No,
us to.
Right.
I
But
don't wanna
obviously,
expect that.
the assumption's gonna be if they're coming from the House of Worship, then I would assume that the congregants would be a little aggravated if they weren't in agreement with it.
Because we're congregants.
You're
of the saints of
congregants
God.
too, but
Yes,
what I'm
so-
saying is,
so if
has
you're
there
saying
been
that's an
pushback
example-
within the congregation? That's where I think
I
the
don't think
pushback.
a lot of them know where the money's coming from.
But wouldn't that be where the pushback is on the inside, saying, we don't want to spend this money on this bridge?
If it was brought to everybody's attention, there probably would be pushback.
But if it's been
It's
going
not-
on 10 years, my assumption would be that people know that the,
Clearly, this has been a changing, moving target over
Right.
the last 10 years.
yeah,
Because I think even.
I
the
only
last
go
meeting-
back 7. I didn't know it went back
Yeah.
before I didn't realize it went back that far.
Yeah, I've been dealing with it quite a while.
Again, I just
Mhm.
wanted to put it out there. If there are
Right.
people that are passionately for it, then let them come forward to prove that this project is warranted, aside from the grant. Because I guess, let's say, if the grant wasn't being given, and this was the town paying for it, I gather it would be looked at differently. And I think the money source should be put aside when you're considering the merits of the project. Right? How many people is it serving? When it should be open or closed? All those things, I think, are a factor that's regardless of how it's being funded.
It was explained last time that there's different projects that go on in Ocean Township, be it a park or a, playground or whatever it is. It doesn't mean that every resident, is for it or against it. I mean, we're doing a golf simulator cave right now over in Wanamass over at our golf course. And, we're doing this for the betterment of the Township of Ocean to give another service that we have. Not every project is used by every single resident in here. I mean, there's things that I might not necessarily agree with that I think are, money expenditures that I'm not totally for, but I know it's for the betterment of the Township of Ocean. That's, how I look at things. This might have been looked at differently if the township was going to write a check for $500,000 for a bridge that might be used by, I don't know how many people, dozens of people, but me personally, when I looked at the route and I looked at the safety of the drive and, where your congregants have to go around, to me, it was a safety issue. That's why, I felt that, the manager was making a recommendation and I went out and looked at it and I felt that, yeah, there's some validity to the safety issue. I mean, I had to look at the safety issue as well. That's where I totally came from. It wasn't that it was brought by Mr. Saka or the church, the temple. I mean, I'm just telling you that I did my due diligence by going out there and taking the drive. I totally empathize with the fact that about the bridge being built, but I mean, you're talking Friday night into Saturday thing. I mean, I don't know how many people would use this bridge after a Friday night or after a holiday.
And-
Taking a chance, aren't we?
Huh?
We're taking a chance of interfering with a quiet neighborhood. Now,
And-
if it was just Friday, it's fine.
But
Friday, Saturday, and
but I don't know what's, over there to draw people into the neighborhood from the other side, other than the synagogue.
there's plenty that don't trust.
a shortcut through. You can, it just makes going from there all the way through.
Well, I can assure you, there's no
Channel One
reason
and
for me to
Wellmont.
use the bridge.
Of course, but again, if we,
Be my guest.
if we're saying, if we're making the argument of how many people is this actually gonna serve, then you're kind of making our argument of, is this really that necessary, or that warranted?
Then that would be a discussion that I believe the congregation should have with Mr. Saka as it relates to the expenditures. Mr. Brown is very involved in his church, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, expenditures of that nature, you know, they get looked at heavily from the congregation.
You
So-
can write $500 checks, all
Yeah,
500,000, all the
not
time.
500 grand, but,
$100,000.
but, you know, I want to move the meeting along. You know,
Sure.
if this other gentleman, the
Yeah,
doctor, comes in, we'll absolutely let him speak as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dave, we have township
so-
matters.
Oh, can we, is he done?
Not closed.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
he is.
might have
Can I?
Questions?
Yeah, there we go.
You don't know the drill?
Thought it was out.
Come on.
I figure your private meeting with Dave every day answered, I mean, every Wednesday
No,
answered
because
the
Greg doesn't
questions.
answer his question, I'm gonna ask him here. Just kidding. So, the geese. Is that just Tracy, or are you working the geese on Brookside as well?
I don't.
No, he has
Got
nothing
it.
to do with that.
Got it.
I'm gonna take my dog.
You're gonna chase the geese.
Enclave, bonds. How we looking?
We still have not met yet with them about their landscaping. That was supposed to happen today, but it rained, so we're gonna happen, and with all the holidays and schedules, now it's scheduled for the 15th of April.
Okay, and is it just landscaping? I mean, I know you and I
No.
talked about,
We got curbing problems too, but we're trying to get past the this meeting we're having is just for landscaping right now.
Okay.
We've already met with them, and they're mulling over the curb improvements that they have to do. So that's not on the agenda for our meeting, but the next thing was the landscaping, so we can get, because Jim Higgins is involved in that, and that's not been broached yet, so that we're trying to get that one at least on the docket to bring it to the surface.
and you and I had the conversation, I'm sorry, I forgot what the answer was, the filtration, or the other term that's used, the ponds are good?
Yes, the basins are,
Basins.
yeah,
So
they're
they-
now detention basins, no longer
That's what it was, I
infiltration
forgot.
basins,
So, but they're good?
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, a lot of people, and we've alerted the developer that now that the basins are good, they can apply for their COs, and they have been applying their COs for the individual homes.
Got it, okay. I believe that actually is it.
So I must be answering those
I
questions.
got one question for you. A resident approached me about the corner of Cold Indian and Bound. We were talking about putting sidewalks in and making that a
T.
a full T.
Yeah. Essentially, we're getting away with the wide sweep going
Yeah.
northbound onto eastbound Deal Road. That's gonna come to a T intersection, and it'll still have a accommodatable right turn.
Right.
But it's not gonna be 40-mile-an-hour right turn.
Sure.
But yeah, when we do that intersection improvements, part of the road program gonna be bid in April, the intersection sidewalks will go along with that.
Okay.
And then we have the DOT grant that goes from Bound down to Carberry, so that sidewalk will all be part of that, so that whole area will be connected by sidewalk when we're done.
That's great. Yeah.
And actually, it's one of the things that the Girl Scouts actually brought that as a request, so we're
Yeah.
gonna have to go back to them once we get that out to bid and kinda see if they want any kudos for that or wanna be a part of anything. But,
Sure.
Yeah, but they probably all graduated, but not, because it was a couple of years ago. I think they're in 8th grade.
That's right.
Probably college.
Yeah,
There was one more, I'm sorry, 1515 permits, DEP?
we're just waiting on, the checks just went in, we got the check, end of last week, they just went into the DOT, or to the DEP, and they aren't gonna review anything further until they got the checks. So they did get those, we think we sent those on Wednesday, so they probably got them today, or we'll get them Monday.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Greg, before you go, I just, want to let the council know that you and I met about Deal Road in regard to doing that permit up the street to try to get the westbound lane to go across Highway 35. That is still in the hopper, so that we can work on straightening that out up there. I believe you're waiting for Zakaria, who purchased the property across the street, to submit his permits, and then we're looking at trying to straighten that road out so that we can get the 2 lanes across.
Well,
Get a-
we're waiting for him to finish his plans. I had a discussion with his
Right.
engineer yesterday, kind of telling where we're coming from.
Yep,
So he's gonna give me a copy of the survey and the general layout, and we'll go over that and
yep.
make sure that's something, exactly what we're looking for, and then we'll proceed with the DOT from there.
What's going there?
Any questions on that?
I don't know what he's putting on the site, but I know
I
I'm
don't know what
taking
he's
So
some
is
of
that
his
center,
property.
is that center row now gonna be allowed to go straight?
So right now, the center road does go straight. The problem, and look, I'm
And the right one can
obviously,
go straight too?
And I'm sitting there and I'm going out of my mind because I watch it and I get in the lane where I'm supposed to be and I'm watching people shoot up. The idea is to get 2 lanes to go across. You have the left, you gotta go straight, but you need both to go straight because what's happening is there's no cars in the right lane. You got everybody backed up in the center lane. Nobody can even, like I needed to make a left the other day. I couldn't get past the lineup until some of these cars got across. And when you're backing up, you get past that hump, you can't slide over. So Greg and I eyeballed a lot of this stuff, and it's
That's what it was there.
Until the summer.
yeah, no, it's exact. I mean, it is moving. When it moves good. It's definitely improved, but if we can make this tweak, it'll definitely be a great
So
move.
is that the bank property
Yeah.
that you're gonna
Yeah.
encroach
On
on?
the far side.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
far
it's not,
side.
and what Greg looked at, it's not as serious as we think. Greg seems to think that 2 or 3 utility poles can be moved. That can be, it's pretty wide. I didn't realize it until Greg told me that, and I went slowly and looked at it, and there is definitely a wide section there as you get across. It has to be straightened out.
And the merge will happen, what, in front of that
The merge
strip?
will happen kind of over on the other side. He wants to have a receiving lane over there so that you can actually get the cars across. It should be able, Greg, what's the amount that you think you can push across if we straighten this out?
Well, the 2 lanes will function fine on that side,
Yep.
and we'll have a stacking link on the other side, probably about 3 cars.
Yep.
And the taper will occur just about at the west end of the bank property, where the driveway is. That's where the merge will come
Yep.
together.
Like West
But
Park,
on the west side of the highway.
Yep.
Yeah.
like West Park is now,
So it's like
right?
10 car
Right,
lengths?
exactly like West Park. This will be a little wider. West Park isn't going to be quite as wide as this. West Park's a little narrower.
Yeah, we're lucky we have, it's kind of wide there. Like Greg said, it's a shame that when they redid that Krausers and that other thing that somebody wasn't really looking at that planning wise, because we really could have probably had some of this stuff done by the DOT when they were doing it. But hey, look, we're eyeballing it, and we see these things, and now we want to get it fixed. So
We're certainly
it's
gonna make it
important.
work.
I just it definitely and you're right. The summertime's going to be worse.
I reached out to their engineer because we talked about changing the signs, and I didn't want to change the signs until they got their final inspection from the DOT.
Yep.
I haven't heard back from them yet, because they have to
Okay.
go to their traffic engineer.
Yeah, even the
But-
signage. I mean, until we get it squared away,
But-
would help out too.
I'm getting to the point where when summer gets there, we may change
You
the
might just
signs
change this.
before the summer. If they have to wait for their inspection until after summer, they can change them
Well,
back.
let's give it through like mid-April, and
Mid-April,
then
yeah.
let's see if we have to make a call. The other thing that Greg and I met about. Thanks for coming out Saturday, Greg. I appreciate it. We went over to Deal Park. That's a big area of flooding concern. And what I noticed when I went over there, and that's why I called Greg, was the manhole was coming up, and I guess Steve Higgins went out with the crew, and they jetted out some of the lines out there in Deal Park, Runyon, Parker, Goff, and one of the other side ones. We saw that the water was flowing out. It was getting out of Ocean. It was just backed up on that section, which meant that there was a clog. So hopefully the jetting out helped, I'm hoping.
They jetted the lines, they did not find a blockage, but what's happened is at the end of the head wall where it all discharged was blocked.
Okay,
So that will probably be the next section of my stream cleaning.
okay,
So we're gonna go there from about where Golf is down to Washington, that section. Now, that is all on private property.
right.
So it's gonna take a little longer for me to get in there, because I gotta talk to these residents about us going in there and de-snagging that.
Right.
But that, you can see there's a bunch of just debris in there from all sorts of sports equipment and just general garbage.
So if we're gonna do something like that, a lot of summer residents over there, are we gonna try to do this before they come back, or are we gonna try to push this to the fall? It's,
I'm probably gonna try to get their permission through the summer while they're here.
Okay.
Because a lot of times when they're up in New York or
Yep.
wherever, it's
Yep.
just impossible communication-wise, because it's by mail. So
Okay.
when they're down here, I can meet with them, go to the knock on the door, we'll get the permission and we'll probably do it in the
Yeah,
fall.
we're definitely not gonna get it cleared out by the spring rains anyway, so, I mean, as long as we have this in the hopper so that we can, because that amount of flooding over there is really troublesome. There's a lot of water in
Yeah,
Deal
unfortunately,
Park.
it gets deep fast, but when
Oh, yeah.
if the stream was open, it wouldn't have flooded at all.
Oh,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
Greg, it gets, like, I'm in a truck and I'm like, it goes down too. It's you know. So, I mean, it's definitely working on it so we can get, you know, things like that fixed. The other areas I looked at, you know, they seem to be okay since the stream cleaning, so we
Yeah,
didn't get hammered as
Poplar, yeah,
bad.
Poplar was in good shape.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, that's the east part of it.
Yeah.
I'm now gonna move into the park area.
The thing I would ask is if you know of any other areas that might look like, I noticed, and I shot text messages over to Steve, that there were areas even on Deal Road that you could tell the storm drains were completely clogged. So, I think as, you know, as council and even as residents for the work session, if you hear me, if you know of any areas that look like there's severe flooding, just shoot us a message or even go on our report, on our website and report it so that it can, you know, get cleared out. Because the only way we're gonna know is if you're actually out in the rain. That's the only way you're gonna know that stuff's clogged up.
So,
we
I was just gonna compliment, so I pick on you a lot, so let me compliment you, and I should have done it before the mayor just said what he said. But I got a call from a resident on Lancaster, and she sent a video, John, just,
Connors, yeah,
it just.
yeah, Sandy.
It was going through it was coming out everywhere. I mean, the water was up halfway through the mailbox. And he went out last week, cleaned it up. We think it's fine now, but
We got
I
the
do need to
blockage out and
compliment.
it works fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all, really, we need to be vigilant as, you know, elected officials, but also neighbors. I mean, just spread the word that we obviously can't be in every quadrant of the town, so, you know, you have to let us know when you see a flood. I mean, that's drains and, you know, they get clogged. There's a lot. We noticed a ton of debris down on Washington Street that had been piled up. You know, some of the spring cleaning that's coming out. They're clearing the logs out, the sticks, the tree, you know, the weeds, the leftover leaves from the fall. So there's a lot of that stuff that's piling up that Greg used his foot to kick it away just to move the water quicker. And yeah, it's amazing what just a little pile does.
Did you say Joe Pillay was, you said Park. Did you mean Joe Pillay was the next?
So, well, you know, there's a section, I actually asked Tom Root, he's got the
Drone.
The drone. He actually gonna video between Monmouth and Whale Pond for me, which is all private. That's because we stopped at Whale Pond
Right.
going westbound. So while I'm waiting for that, I can use open space money to go into Joe Pillay Park, and I know there's some areas of flooding in there that I want to get to. So I'm gonna get that going, and then we'll come back when I get that video from Tom, and we'll work on that. But I think this precedent will take the flooding over on Gulf and Washington. We'll probably hit that first in the next section, the next wave of the funding.
The section on Donna Lisa Drive looks so much better. I mean, it's wide and clear, and, because that was coming up.
Yeah.
That was wild. It's working.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Section by section.
That's
Yeah.
it.
This takes time.
So, I'm sorry, last thing. Is that now on Steve's DPW's routine on a annual, biannual? How do we prevent it from I mean, we did it, we fixed it, great, thank you. How do we prevent it from,
Upkeep.
right?
You know, one of the things, and not that I want to bash past guys, but we bought that jet truck in combination 50-50 with the sewage authority. And we have never been able to use it in the past, and I've asked several times. And I mean, the past two directors wouldn't ask them to use it, or when they did, they kind of were rebuffed and they never went back again. I told Steve that's half our truck. Within a couple of days, he got the truck out for Lancaster, so.
Steve moves.
Steve Higgins, yeah, so.
He moves.
So I've already have it on the schedule with him. What we're gonna start doing as part of the road program before we pave the roads, the heavier traveled roads, we're gonna video them or jet them and video them just to make sure they're clear so we don't have a sinkhole problem or a blowout that blows out a piece of the road we just paved.
I mean,
That's-
Steve went out Monday and did Deal
Yes.
Park. I mean, he
Yeah.
whacked all them out.
Yeah. So that's something we've been trying to do for the last 10 years because, and we've been lucky where we haven't had a problem. But, Lancaster was one where, that was recently paved, and luckily we caught that before it did anything to the road. But now that's what we're gonna start doing on the main corridors, and then we'll also do the stream cleaning, so that I think the side streets are gonna flood, we'll get to them eventually, but if we get the main corridors cleaned out, we're gonna be in pretty good shape.
Good. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Greg. Anything else for Greg before he goes? Okie dokie.
Everybody have a
Dave,
Easter or
you
like
started. Do you have anything else for us in open or?
Oh, yeah, I got
Okay.
a few
You
things.
don't need to do it.
Oh, yeah.
No.
See you later.
So bicycle safety, and particularly not bikes, but e-bikes, the electronic bikes. Deputy Mayor and I have been talking, we talked with Senator Gopal, trying to get some state legislation, and then lo and behold, the JIF came along, the Joint Insurance Fund, and put out a newsletter telling us that, you know, we could do some things here locally. So what we're looking to do is put on a local piece of legislation or an ordinance to introduce that at the next meeting. I just moments ago talked to the chief, and what we're looking at is what Jesse has given me here. But what I would suggest, I'm just going to return that back to Jesse, is that the chief said that the traffic sergeant has some more to add to what our township attorney has put together there. So once we're able to merge that, maybe next week we can email out a copy to this body so you can review it, and then we can try to get it introduced at the next meeting. But the bottom line is under Title 39, low-speed electric bicycles, we're able to do this ordinance. And one of the things that the locality can do is Class 1 and 2 e-bikes may ride on bicycle paths, except that a local government entity may prohibit the operation of Class 1, 2. So the thinking and the theory is right now is that prohibited from JPP, but the chief wanted to know if the council wanted to expand that to all township properties or just keep it at JPP. So that's something to think about. I think I would recommend all township properties.
So what would be the implication of that on a regular street? If they're not allowed to ride in the bike lanes, are they supposed to be,
This is mostly on paths.
oh, paths?
So this would be like, they couldn't just be riding through here on the e-bike, speeding through, or on the sidewalks around here. And, you know, it's basically a safety issue.
But they could ride in the bike lanes that are on the street?
Oh, I believe so.
Okay.
I don't think you can prohibit them from
Okay,
riding.
that's what
Yep.
I misinterpreted.
Yeah, at
Okay.
least we can. Maybe the state can, but we only have, it says may ride on bicycle paths. And then on this page here, it states that a local government can restrict where Class 1 and 2 e-bikes are allowed to ride. Local governments may consider factors such as crowded locations, vacation destinations, boardwalks, promenades, sporting facilities, parks and playgrounds, which is us. And then we can designate hours of operation, speed restrictions, and injury prevention. So basically, the chief has parks and grounds highlighted, so that was the main thing he was looking at, was the parks and grounds. And then he wanted to know if he wanted to expand it to other township property.
What about just general safety precautions in just in township streets? It's so dangerous. You see people riding without helmets.
We can't regulate that, because now on the other page here it says we can operation on sidewalks and trails is up to local municipalities.
Okay.
So we can also ban them from riding on sidewalks as well. And the
Just
trails.
push them
which
into
you
the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can't regulate the street though.
Right.
And then obviously it says seek advice to the agency's attorney when considering and developing ordinances that may restrict the use of these vehicles on sidewalks, bike trails, etc. So we'll get that out to you once the chief and I and Jesse get together on Monday, and Matt, and try to push that out.
Can I just expand on that a second?
Absolutely.
So one of the things that's really complicated, it doesn't affect us so much, is that there's a lot of commerce that goes on with these. There's a lot of delivery guys.
Right, that's true.
Not so much here in Ocean Township, but in, urban areas, they're delivering your DoorDash, you're delivering all this stuff. So all of a sudden, this whole thing seems like a simple solution. Like when you had a moped, you should have been wearing a helmet. You're not supposed to be riding in the park. You're not supposed to be riding. Suddenly, it became a whole other problem, and that's why that legislation failed, or at least is stalled right now at the state level. But I think that if we go with more of a safety angle here, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Nobody should be ripping through Playa Park at 30 miles an hour on an e-bike, And the problem is, and I've said it before, they are so dangerous because they're coming up behind you. You pass a biker, you passed a bike. You're making a right-hand turn, you're not looking as someone's flying at 30 miles an hour, and they're not looking at you.
Yeah.
And then you take them out, and suddenly it's your fault. And that's the part that's so disturbing to me, especially you get the summertime going, everybody's
Yeah.
going every direction. It's so dangerous. So I think we just got to keep pushing and pushing on this issue.
Yeah. One of the ones that caught up on me, and I wasn't in this town, I was in another town, but an electric bike, like that was like silent. I didn't even know the bike was.
They make no noise.
It just came up on me. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this behind me? And it was an electric bike,
Yeah.
and
You got to have your head on a swivel anytime you go to an intersection because you don't know who's coming at you. It's scary. Thanks.
thank you. Moving on from that, we have reminder. The strat plan is still in effect, and I have generously handed out to remind everybody because by March 31st I have to respond to the strat plan consultant. You have a couple of options, 1, 2, and 3 for a mission statement, 2 options for a vision statement. And then there was some conversations that were had, and then you have this to look at, which is basically the layout. And then I had a timeline, but I think I left it in the copier. So I will get that in a second after I speak and make sure that everybody gets a copy of the timeline because there's several further steps that we want to do, and I think the completion was like June 30th. So we want to be done before we get to July 1, I believe it is, but I'll hand that out later. Community development update. The state is keeping us busy. We have a couple of things going on. Affordable housing, the state has passed legislation A4S50. I was talking to Deputy Mayor again. We're having some good conversations this week. He thought it would be a good idea, and I concur, that we bring in Mary Beth Lonigan, our affordable housing planner consultant. And she couldn't come in for this meeting or April. She can't come until May. So I went on League of Municipalities and printed this out for your reading pleasure. It's about 10 pages long, and it explains all the ins and outs from the League of Municipalities perspective, which is obviously benefiting and favors our view of it as a town. So when you get a chance, just read this. And then in the May meeting, Mary Beth will be able to come in the May meeting, and we'll do closed session because we have the litigation going on with Fair Share Housing, so she can explain where we're at with that, how this affects that, and what type of the growth, because we're gonna have more obligation come this next round in 2025, I believe it is.
It is.
Yep.
July 1st.
July 1st, 2025.
We're compliant with 24?
Almost.
Yes.
Almost. So we talk about that too in May.
Okay.
So we're getting there. We got some projects coming online that we can talk about, and that would have to be done in closed session too, because we're in negotiations.
I tried to read through this. It's actually rather confusing. It seems like it could benefit the township, and there's things in here that make a lot of sense, but it's definitely, you need somebody who can really explain this to you, because there's multiple components in here that are now like, you need a PhD to figure this out.
That's why they have lawyers on staff.
Yeah. I thought
At the
that
assembly.
I was going to just defer this to Matt, but then I've been told we have to hand this over to
Matt's
Mary
not that
Beth.
bad. He's pretty good at this stuff too, but Mary Beth definitely is the expert.
Yeah. But it could change the component of how we're doing business, and that's a benefit. Hopefully it's a benefit to not just our town, but all of the towns. So there's potential here.
There was some of this was in the email that you sent us from,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yes. But they were coming from more of a negative standpoint
Correct.
from that perspective. The next thing is the state has decided to do this new state development and redevelopment plan under what's called the State Planning Act. And under that, I sent this around via email earlier this week. There's something called the cross-acceptance process, which will begin the same day that the preliminary plan is published, on or about April 8th. So our attorney had denoted that we should immediately stay on top of this. So I emailed the county planning director today to see what in hopes of what they're trying to do, or what to ascertain their process for this for us, and make sure that myself or Colleen or somebody from the department is attending those meetings, or at least if they're not virtual, to make sure that we're there. The other thing that came out of this too was that they said make sure that your master plan is sent over, and I guess in the transition with Ron leaving, the draft was sent over, but now the final copy as of today or Monday, Colleen will send the final copy over which also led me to make sure that, did everyone here get a final copy?
If it's like that, yes.
Okay.
I didn't get one.
You got it on, so we got, Jesse, we gotta get, new council person.
Okay,
on.
Thank you.
Okay, Matt wants one too. So I don't know how many we had, cause, I know downstairs I only had a couple, so I didn't even have one.
Do we have it, do we have it electronically?
Oh, you know what? She does have it electronic, cause that's how we're transmitting to the county planner.
So I could
So-
take an email one if that's easier.
Okay,
Or-
yeah, just ask Colleen, Jesse,
Okay.
she can get that out.
It's on the town website, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on there, okay, that's good too.
Yeah.
So in light of the master plan now, leading into that, as your community development director, I'm now gonna be looking at this and trying to pull some of the low-hanging fruit out of here, just so we can start focusing on and actually begin to talk about implementing some of the stuff that's in the plan. So, something different, implementation.
What a concept.
Right.
Is there anything in there about rezoning? Are we switching up
It could be.
rezoning?
Some areas, yep. That's a whole nother conversation.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
eventually we're gonna have to pass ordinances, either switching zoning on a couple things, but after the master plan, go through all of our land development ordinances.
Had a nice conversation with Mayor Pallone about what they've done in Law Branch too, and you're probably aware about changing a lot of the zoning to benefit the town.
Love to hear it.
Yeah, him and Mario had
Yeah.
it.
So that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave?
I just have something.
Okay.
We had a request this afternoon for a flag raising.
Okay.
The India flag for Indian Independence Day, celebration gathering and flag hoisting on August 17th from 9:30 to noon out here. Is everyone okay
We
with
did that last year, right?
We did
Yes,
that last year,
yes. Everyone good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
August 17th is a
Don't we have to-
Saturday.
Yeah.
We're moving it.
Is that correct?
You go around.
Saturday?
I've done it both ways.
You put August 17th.
I know.
I'll check
think
it out.
that we
and
should
double-
Thank you.
probably do
Thank
a-
you.
Hold on, I gotta get the council first.
Probably a motion to approve that?
Do what?
The
A motion
flag?
to approve the
Motion
flag.
to approve the
The
flag?
Yeah.
You wanna do
That's-
it around here?
That's-
Yeah, motion to
That's how I
approve
did it
flag
last time.
raising.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
All right.
Process.
Anything else, Jess?
that's it for me.
Okay, Rob?
Dog park.
Oh.
What happened? Didn't you
I don't know if I
call?
should have asked Greg. I didn't think
No,
of it later,
no,
but
I think it's more on this table here. I know the mayor's been looking around.
Yeah, and you
You and I
said,
had a conversation.
What happened
what's
with-
name's dead set against it,
I was
so, I looked up at Massive Fireman's Field, there's no space up there. There was one other option, which is over by Human Services,
Yeah,
but
that's
we
it.
have to talk to Greg, yeah, that open area right by Human Services across from the open field. That's a big enough space, but just not sure if, if we wind up making a move up there, we need that property for parking, so, Greg has to take a look at that, but it's actually not a bad spot, cause it's back, it's by the library, it's over there, there's parking, so,
A lot of traffic.
no traffic.
No
Right.
traffic in and out.
Right, right, so that's a potential option, has anybody looked around anywhere else?
So, when you're pulling into Palea Park, it was a part of the old Deal test site, not the main entrance, the next entrance down, there's that white building that I think has a fence. Is that being used by the township anymore, or is that building almost like on a condemned type
It's
of deal?
condemned. The white building, I
Yeah.
think it's
I
condemned.
think your problem back there is,
That's
there's
the
a
one
lot
that
of flooding
flood. That's
back
the one
there.
that floods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just thought it would be, put it in the middle of the park and use that as a parking lot, and I don't know if you,
Almost west of the soccer field.
right.
That's
right.
where you're
Right in the middle.
thinking.
You're right in the middle.
Yeah, because nobody wants this in their backyard, obviously.
Right, it has to
And
be in the middle.
So I'm thinking, let's just stick it, but I just don't know if it's wet back there. I
It's-
think,
it's
I don't
very
know if
wet.
there's reeds, I don't know if there's anywhere to, is the township knocking that building down, or is it just staying?
No plans to knock it
No
down.
plans to just kind of an army relic? Yeah, that's it. I don't have any other great suggestions on the dog park.
So,
Sorry.
Jim, to your point, Mr. Mayor, Jim Bay caught me somewhere. And did you and I have the
We
conversation?
talked about it, yeah. I think I talked to the mayor about it too. The Poplar.
Right, no,
Yeah.
yeah, thoughts?
I
mean, I don't know if he's, I don't know if he's right.
I don't know what, I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but it's way out, not even around the town. I mean, that's way east if we're talking Poplar, old Poplar Village.
Yeah.
And I don't know how wet it is over there.
Again,
'Cause
I
it's
haven't
Blue
been out
Acres.
there.
Is what?
It's Blue Acres, so
Right.
I would assume that
That's wet.
Very wet.
when it rains or get a hard rain, it probably.
Yeah.
But it could be somewhere we can at least do temporarily until
Right.
we can land a home for this.
I haven't been out there. I keep telling them I'm gonna go.
So the
I don't
question
know.
would be, where would they park? How would they go in? Do they have to go, they would have to go through the existing Poplar Village and park back there somewhere?
I believe so. I think
Because
that's
when I
how we got
walked
it.
that
'Cause
that
there's like
stream with
There's like
Greg,
a stone road.
Yeah.
I don't know where that.
I don't know
goes.
either. He says it, again, I'm not doubting anything he's saying. I just haven't been out there. He says that
Yeah.
road is fine and there's parking.
I don't know.
I don't either.
When we drove out there, it's old. It's
Yeah,
been,
I would just say take a look at it.
yeah, take a ride back, take a look.
Yeah.
That's an option.
Maybe it's time to annex that island that's out in the middle of the Navasink there.
Do that too. Anything else, Rob?
That would be,
Right.
can I pass for a second? Sorry.
Yeah. Gita?
We'll pass.
I'm good.
Okay. Dave?
Yes. Obviously the voting districts have changed in Ocean Township. There's been a little bit of confusion about that. Can we put something on the website, maybe explaining why it happened? And then
Don't know why.
there's just,
That came from the county.
Consensus. The census,
The
not
census?
consensus, census.
yeah, so I think there's just a little confusion as to why, where am I voting? I think it would be a nice idea, because I think I've gotten more than a few questions about it.
We put up the locations, all the new voting locations.
Maybe the why, I think, was got a few people.
Okay.
And it's great, if it's a census thing and they just consolidated districts, that's fine. It's just, I think, people get a little concerned as elections are starting to show up and they're like, oh my God, I can't vote. The second thing I got, which was really interesting, remember we were talking about grant writing last time?
Yes.
So one of our residents sent me a grant that he had filled out with AI. And it's crazy
Oh yeah.
that this person filled out this fairly complicated grant with the free AI app,
Yeah.
and it was actually rather comprehensive. So I know we've been going back and forth with these grant writers and all this stuff, but this may be a weird future here with these grants. I don't know anything about this. All I know is this person sent me this crazy
That's for Dave
application,
to figure out.
and it was
Yeah, and I'm starting to use AI a lot now to help me with memos and letters and such.
yeah,
But you have to sit there right now because there's still the hiccups in there.
yeah.
So somebody has to make sure that there's no plagiarism going on, and you also have to make sure that there's the information is correct.
Yeah,
Because it's pulling from all sources out there in the internet and everything. So we're even thinking about it from a procurement perspective. We have a conference at the end of April, and we have the AI on there because we'll be able to do write bids, scopes of work and all that stuff through AI.
That's
So
crazy.
we wouldn't have to do it ourselves anymore. So it's getting there.
Yeah.
But I think we still gotta get the cobwebs out per se.
so I just wanted to throw that out there, because if you saw this thing, you'd say this looked like somebody put a lot of
Yeah.
effort into this.
Wow.
So that's all I've got, Mayor.
All right. Kelly?
Nothing.
Thank you. I have one thing I want to go over and closed as it relates to the fire company.
I found my other one, Mayor.
Okay.
Naming committee. So we met last week, and surprise, surprise, the Oakhurst Meeting Room was named in 1970.
Oh.
And it's called, I'm stalling because I can't find it, the Oakhurst Firemen's Memorial Recreation Center. I believe I'm correct with that. There's actually a plaque that was located, a very nice one, large one, and it did have the gentleman's name, Mr. Bartholomew, who we were looking possibly to name the facility after. He was on the committee to name it, to build it, to name it. So I shared that with his grandson. I talked to the committee and they're fine with it. I'm looking for support from the council, manager's fine with it, to do a because the plaque's been sitting around somewhere for a long time. It hasn't been up.
Just need to shine it up.
Shine it up and do a rededication.
Yep.
Make
Fine.
sense? Okay.
Might as well have the plaque on there.
Right. So, okay, I will work with whomever to make that happen.
Yeah, I think Mike Patrico probably best for that one.
Yes.
I think
He found,
he rents that room.
Recreation does rent it,
Yeah,
yes.
so I would go with him, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
Thank you all.
Let me go to Doc over here. We were waiting for you.
Yeah. So,
Can you just stand up, state your name and address for the record?
Felix Shamash, I'm living on Two Kramer Court, neighbors. So, I mean, this whole idea about having a bridge was really going on for a while, and it's really not really in our best interest, you know, in the neighborhood. But now, I mean, after all this, we're realizing things are being done already, and so we try to make a compromise. I mean, this is a big compromise for us. Is to close it off all the time except on holidays and Saturdays for 24 hours, 26 hours, whatever it is, and to leave it closed. There is really no reason to have access like this. You know, this day and age, we really, you know,
Can't do
we
that,
got to
right?
be sort of more careful about who's roaming in the streets.
That will be a legal issue. I'm gonna lob it over to Matt, our attorney.
There, you can put, I guess, reasonable time, but just opening it up for like one night a week. It's technically going to be a public bridge, so the public, not just the congregants, use it. The public will be able to use it if they need to. So it's a public project that the public can use.
But I understand that the synagogue is paying for this.
But
It's spending the money for this, so it's really not a public thing.
It is a public because it's on public property, and the money, even though it's coming from private hands, is coming to the public to spend.
what about the fact that it's supposed to only be used from dawn to dusk? That's also a legal matter.
You know,
No,
you know
no.
it's used, you
Yeah.
know it's being used beyond dusk, right? And you know
Well,
it's being used
if
for
it's-
bicycles, which at the last meeting was discussed, the bridge is
And
not
probably
wide enough and
e-bikes.
designed for bicycles.
Yeah, no, I
So
mean,
it
there's
seems like all those issues and all the arguments we make just get
Push aside.
pushed aside.
no. What I'm,
No.
Safety arguments that we make on the other side, when there are reasonable alternatives to maybe inset a sidewalk along the whole curve of Monmouth Road where people have to walk as you go from Brookside to where Temple Bethel is. I assume that's the safety issue, is walking along that sidewalk along Monmouth
Really?
Road.
Yeah.
No, I think the
it wouldn't be
safety
able to
issue
do
was walking through this facility
Police
around.
department.
But again,
Yeah,
at the
no,
meeting we attended last
No,
time.
no, I
we
agree with you. I'm
explained
just
that
letting you know what-
People don't get
right.
to this point from there. They already take the Temple Bethel parking lot and cut through there. And as they have been for longer than the bridge has been being talked about. So the safety issue that, again, I appreciate safety being considered, but it should be considered on both sides and be considered with the facts on the ground. People are not walking through here from the areas that the bridge is gonna be serving.
Brother-in-law hosts another shortcut through his backyard. That's-
So, again, we're just asking the points that we're making, which are fact-based in many respects, to be considered. Because the arguments we're hearing on the pro side, we have answers for, and it seems that they just go nowhere.
Matt, is
Also,
there,
we talked about it also.
is there any way around that with having it shut?
I mean, shut when? I mean, that's really, it's gonna be a sense of degree. Having it closed like a park, that kind of thing, from dusk till dawn
I mean,
is, that is a reasonable limitation on it.
Are the tennis courts at Fireman's Field, do those get locked at the end of the night? Or are they supposed to be locked when they're?
I
No,
mean,
when
I'm
Matt says dusk to dawn, he means outside of the Friday and the holidays. I mean, obviously, it couldn't be closed dusk to dawn when there's a Friday.
Right.
But
No,
that's
I mean,
still-
I'm
but
sorry,
that's
that
still
was
looking
I'm
what should be the
sorry,
case
that, a
regardless
general, I'm sorry, you're right, that was a bad example. I meant in terms of, okay, lock it at a certain amount of night till morning, but, you know, to say it's only open on Friday nights.
Nobody's gonna use it other than that.
We don't know that. That's the thing. You're saying that.
Right.
You could be 100% right, but as you sit here today, you can't tell me that in the future there's not going to be one person that's going to use that bridge that is not going to directly to the
So
town.
why don't we wait for somebody to complain about it? Lock it, keep it
Because
safe.
we I can't anticipate somebody complaining about something and then going on the complete opposite end. In terms of a reasonable limitation on the use, yes, the council is going to set certain rules, no bikes, it's not gonna be designed for bikes to be taken over. Now, does that mean that people aren't going to take a bike when nobody's looking? I don't know, but that's not, you know, some things are outside of our power. If you're driving on the road and speeding, no, you're not supposed to be speeding. That, you know, that's the kind of thing. You're not supposed to be taking the bike on the bridge,
What
or
if
people are
it's
gonna
police,
do it.
The other thing's not going to be policed.
It's going to, yeah, it is. It's gonna be against, township code.
And who's enforcing that and who's
Police
policing
department.
whether that happens? Police are gonna be coming around the circle?
Well, I mean, theoretically, the answer is.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Again, I'm waiting for something to be a concrete, legitimate response.
The bridge isn't there, so how, you're giving us
Again,
hypotheticals.
And again, at the same time, the bridge is gonna be put in based on anticipated use,
Okay,
right? So if nobody comes through it on a Monday through Friday afternoon, for 6 months straight, and I have a camera there that shows it, you gonna lock it?
why? Nobody's using it.
Okay, but it's the same
But it's
idea.
potentially a problem.
Everything's potentially
Somebody
a
comes
problem.
and
There's
robs
always
a house,
limited-
they're gonna run through
This is such
they're in
a
another
narrow
neighborhood
thing.
within 30 seconds.
Right.
Again, I'm not trying to over-lawyer this, although I am also a lawyer.
Well,
I
then
can
you
do
want,
it.
that, congratulations. I mean,
Thank you,
but
I'm sorry, but I'm trying to show that I'm making reasonable arguments and I haven't gotten reasonable answers in many
you're not
respects.
accepting the reasonable answers. You're anticipating.
No,
Again,
and
nothing's happening.
To Mr. Fisher's point from the last meeting, we did discuss the gate, and you pretended that you didn't ever hear of that at the last meeting.
No, that's not true. You're putting words in my mouth. I'm willing to listen to any options here. I'm not opposed to anything. You're the residents who live there. If you have constructive ideas, then bring them to us. Bring them to Dave Brown.
Yeah,
And
well,
Mr. Sacco is in
this-
favor of
this-
it, and if he's giving the
this-
grant, why can't we consider something that both sides are in favor of?
And I,
Because this is, at the end of the day, this is being approved because it's good for the community here,
so,
and it's being.
I don't want to get
funded
too
through the
deep into
synagogue.
this, but as I explained to you ad nauseum, that this was something that we did inherit, by the way, and that the concept is, we're trying to do the betterment for the township. We are trying to, the community, but not just the community, the township. If I'm a kid and I'm a caddy over at Hollywood Golf Course and I don't want to cut all the way around and I can, grab my lunch and I can walk across that bridge and it'll save me 5 minutes, that's the betterment of the community. It's just, it can go on and on and on. Yes,
But nobody else thought about this except the synagogue. Nobody else came up with
because
what
it
you just
appears to
telling
be a
us.
betterment for that community, your community, and that's what it was sold to us. That's the reason we're having this
But we
conversation.
don't need it except for that time. That's
Somebody
our
must
point.
need it, because
That's our
obviously-
point.
Nobody,
No,
they
they
they got
don't.
the shore before.
Nobody needs
You
it.
live in this community, you know when it's used, when it would be used. And at the same time, the argument's being made to us is how many people are gonna use it, what's the big deal? But then it's also saying the caddy should be able to go through and use it, and this one should be able to, so you're contradicting your own
And maybe
argument.
so. I mean, if I'm why shouldn't I be able to? I don't personally have a use for it, but maybe I do want to walk across that bridge.
Then maybe the township should pay $500,000.
So let's,
You know what I'm saying?
look,
This is-
we're going in a rabbit hole right now with this discussion, and I think that, we understand the frustration on your side. But this is not the first time that the municipality has taken a grant opportunity from a private foundation or a, foundation itself. This has happened before. We did it most recently in September, and it was for the betterment of the community, and, people choose to use that, that facility, that's up to the community members. But for us to continue to belabor this issue right now, we have other business that we have to, we've heard it loud and clear. Again, I would suggest that what our manager stated was if there are like this many people upset about it, if there are hundreds, we haven't seen them. We haven't seen a petition, we haven't seen, my phone would ring off the hook if there were that many aggravated people at it, but but I haven't gotten, I'm being dead honest with you, I haven't not received the flood of calls that are claimed at this meeting right now. And I don't know what the other council members heard, or heard from, or who they heard from, but I'm telling you, me personally, I would be the first person that gets the majority of the complaints. I haven't gotten any. I really haven't. You're the first three that have come to a meeting.
There's a reason why
To-
we're not putting it out there, because it's gonna bring up,
We-
anti-Semitic.
We care more about our
But
community.
but they can't possibly be anti-Semitic because it's all the same community.
Well, if it
Do
leaks out.
do you think if I posted this on a Ocean Facebook page?
I don't
that
think
it's-
that's where it would go. I think it stays
But
right
they're
within the
residents.
community.
If I brought you 100 people that are tax-paying residents, regardless of whether this is a grant or not, they can oppose it,
They can
right?
propose it for the wrong
I don't,
reasons.
there's a line that I'm gonna
Space.
draw.
We're caught in a tough space.
Right.
And what
So,
I was saying is, are there that many people banging on your door saying, we needed this bridge 5 years ago, can we get it moving already, other than one?
So to answer your question, Mayor, so I won't speak for the other council people, but yes, I met with at least the three of these gentlemen and five others, six others, whatever the number that was
The
there.
people that are gonna
In
be
the summer,
directly
we could
impacted.
have 20 people.
Correct. But that being said, they've shared their concerns. I shared them at the last meeting, whether it be the gate, the hours, the lighting, trees, easements, whatever came out of the meeting with them. And I think we got a lot of the questions answered. And certainly you continue to have the right to express your concerns. We won't be voting today, but as the manager shared, and I may have shared, that we will have the opportunity to vote on the donation. So that's the first up-down vote, for lack of a better example, on what we can or will or won't do. That said, I'm not a fan of petitions. That's just me. I'm speaking for my own self. But to the mayor's point, there's three of you now. Granted, it's happening before the summer. There may be more people for the summer, but I think, if there are other people that were there at the meeting with us and they want to come in, great. If there's more than that, great. To the mayor's point, I mean, there's volume of people help.
I mean,
With differing views. But your point is also well taken on the other, I'm sorry, let me finish real quick. Your point is well taken. Where are all the people that are proposing it? No, positive. You're against it, I get it. Where are all the other people? You're right. I mean, I'll leave it at you're right.
And again, I would just ask that it be considered regardless of where the funding is coming from. The merits of the bridge itself and what it's serving isn't necessarily the detriment to the neighborhood. Again, like you said, there are public projects that not everybody benefits from, but it doesn't always adversely impact other people. Your example of the shade at one of the fields.
we had a very similar situation in Wayside where
Kept well.
3 families were not happy with a park going up there. And there were private donations for the park, and it didn't sit well with several people around that park that, we owned. But we felt that the benefits outweighed anything that was negative with it. It was just a positive for the community, even though there were 3, and it was 3, that were not happy with it at all. But it's a beautiful addition to the town. And I can't say enough for it. I mean, we got pushback, but it was by far a great move for the town. That's all, how I'm gonna leave it, and I think we're gonna move on with the rest of our business, and your concerns are duly noted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Jack, anything before we go and close?
No, it's been a long meeting, but the only question that came up when I was over city, and not just this one thing, but do we have enough publication or making it known to the town what these different things that we have to consider are? Are they all on the website?
Every agenda gets posted. I mean, everybody knows, they look at the agendas, that's where they get the information. Rob posts up about the meetings. We post up things that are going on. I mean, social media is big. We have newsletters that go out. I mean, there's plenty of publications that go out. There's information.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you think that's adequate?
Thank you, Doc.
Take care.
Anything else, Jack?
No, I think that you guys are working hard to try to get to some of the details that you do have to consider. Some of the things that we talked about earlier with Greg and so forth. And, you know, it's nuts and bolts sometimes that you gotta get into.
Yep.
Not just some policy or whatever, but what's the impact of that? And I think you try to deal with that. I think
Right.
That's good.
Thanks, Jack.
Please be careful going down the stairs.
I'll slide that around the stairs.
Be careful.
Wait, Rob will take him down on his back.
I walked.
Well, maybe not on his back, but I'll take it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was wrong.
No.
It's out of order. It's got sunscreen, so it's out of order and it won't be fixed until next week.
Real, how long was she in there?
I thought we owned that.
Really?
No, we don't. No. Another Oscar.
Oh, yeah?
Lucky it's all open.
With the zip code.
She was up higher.
I'd say that water.
Motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
We're closed
Second.
tomorrow.
Second.
Yeah. Good Friday.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Just want to remind everybody that all regular meetings will be audio and videotaped and will be shown on the Township of Ocean's Community Cable Channel, Channel 22, and Verizon Fios on Channel 77 on Cablevision. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Napolitani?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Fisher?
Here.
Council members Achara?
Here.
Kaplan? Here. Terry?
Here.
Can we stand for a pledge of allegiance and please remain standing as we say a silent prayer? And I'd like to dedicate this prayer for one of our fallen residents, Mike Jaffe. He was an FDNY firefighter. He just recently passed of 9/11 illness, and our thoughts and prayers are out to Sylvia Jaffe, and Mike's whole family. So, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. You may be seated. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied, and a copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster, posted in Town Hall, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk on December 14, 2023. There are two emergency exits on the wall to my right that'll take you to the front of the building, and another one to my left that'll take you to the rear. All cell phones must be turned off. If you need to make a call, kindly step outside. All matters listed under, actually, we're going to do council comments first. Let me start down there with Deputy Mayor Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to let the public know that the mayor and council attended a presentation put on by the Ocean Township Police Department the other night on car theft. And I think there were some excellent points that were brought up, and I do want everybody to kind of think these through. But, one of the great comments the detective made, that this is your neighborhood, and you live there, and if you see something that's out of place, it probably is out of place, because you see these people, you go around, you walk your dog, and they said no call is a frivolous call. So if you see something that's out of place, you make the phone call. Lock your inside doors. That was a big one. I think sometimes people get complacent, but we don't live in Mayberry anymore. This is not just an Ocean Township problem. This is a statewide problem, and I think we've all got to become part of the solution to this. All right, that's all I've got, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Terry.
I have nothing this evening.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kaplan.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Councilman Achara.
I have one interesting one. A friend of ours, who you all know, shared a post with me on Facebook letting us know that there are 2 Ocean Township residents that are up for the New Jersey Hall of Fame. I was surprised too. But once I tell you the names, you're probably going to know them. Michael Uslan, who created Batman, who spoke at the graduation, 8-10 years ago at Ocean Township High School, is a candidate in the arts category. And Phil Patello, who you may or may not know. I didn't remember the name, but he makes guitars, and has made guitars for the likes of Springsteen and Jim Croce.
Yeah.
So if you go to the New Jersey Hall of Fame website, which is Google New Jersey Hall of Fame, and you can vote for, I don't have the website. You can vote for them. So support your Ocean Township resident. That's all I have. Residents. That's all I have now.
That's exciting news, especially went to school with Phil Jr., so it's congratulations to your dad on his accomplishments. Dave Brown.
No report, Mayor.
All righty. Matt?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
I just want to say thank you to Susan Healy from the tax department. She sold out a crowd of our senior citizens and explained how your taxes work. I want to thank Jen and Mike again for throwing a phenomenal St. Patrick's Day celebration over at English Manor. Highly recommend English Manor. They did a great job the other night. Appetizers were, absolutely phenomenal. Thank you. The Easter egg hunt was a total smash hit. Very well attended. Again, another Jen and Mike promotional ceremony there. I want to thank Chief Sorrentino and, of course, Detective Legg and Detective Ryan for their presentation the other night. Deputy Mayor Fisher spelled it out beautifully. It is on YouTube. We should have it posted up on our Facebook pages. I know I do. So I strongly urge anybody that has any questions as it relates to the most recent car thefts, car robberies, any other type of crime. This presentation really spells it out. I got several calls from people who said they watched it. They could not believe how spot on the police officers were, and us as a township council. They were very impressed with the fact that we're an extremely safe community. I'll leave it at that. Watch the video. I also want to congratulate our newly sworn-in commissioners in Wanamassa Fire Company, Mike Evans and Alan Dowling, for their service to Wanamassa. I want to thank Peter Ryan from the 7th grade in Ocean Township Intermediate School for inviting me in the other day. It was nice to see your students and fill them in on what we do here as a council. Thank you for the invite. And one last thing, I'd like to give a shout out to another longtime member from the Italian Club who passed away this year. He was quite an icon if you were from the Asbury Park area. Ramo Strata, who was one of my dad's oldest and closest friends. It's sad to see a lot of these guys gone that my father grew up with, and a guy like that was a total icon. So we're going to miss you, Ramo. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the Township Council and will be enacted in one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item will be considered separately. The purpose of this public portion is to solely ask questions to understand resolutions that appear on the agenda and is not an occasion for a public hearing on an ordinance. All questions not related to an item on this agenda should be asked during the public comments portion at the conclusion of the meeting. Are there any questions as it relates to the agenda items for the consent agenda? Seeing here none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Achara?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Kaplan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes. Individual action, vouchers in the amount of $3,784,886.69. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Achara?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Kaplan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes, motion passes. Ordinance is up for adoption. Ordinance 2457, which is an ordinance amending Chapter 21 of the Comprehensive Land Development Ordinance of the Township of Ocean entitled Flags and Pennants. Can I have someone open the public comment on Ordinance 2457?
I'll make a motion to open public comment on ordinance 2457.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Achara?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Kaplan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes. Anyone wishing to be heard on ordinance 2457, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing here none, do I have a motion to close the public comment on ordinance 2457?
I'll make a motion to close the public comment on ordinance 2457.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Achara?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Kaplan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes. Action on ordinance 2457.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2457 and publish according to law.
Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Achara?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Kaplan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes. Ordinance passes. Anyone from the public wishing to say any comments about Ocean Township, anything germane to our town? Questions, comments, concerns, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. This is the public portion. You may,
Come on up.
I know. Yeah, that's my fault.
My name is Sheldon Pasner. I live in Oakhurst. I have a complaint regarding West Lincoln Road, West Lincoln Avenue between Monmouth and Whale Pond. There should be no parking there on either side. It's very difficult for me and my wife, especially driving at night, when a car is parked over here and a car is over here and we have to go down the middle. It's a very dangerous situation. You have no parking at any time signs on Whale Pond itself, but not on West Lincoln. And West Lincoln, as you probably know, is a through road. There are not many east-west roads going that way. So that is the main thing.
Dave, can we have the chief look into this potentially?
Yes, Mayor, we'll do a traffic study on
Thank
that
you.
road.
Absolutely.
Okay, next thing, my wife, do you want us
I
to?
thought you said one complaint. That's, you're only allowed one complaint. Oh, wait, each get one.
Can I, between Monmouth and Whale Pond, can I comment on that, Mayor, given that I live right on Robbie and I travel that?
Oh, you live on Rocky?
Easy, easy. Shh, don't say where. So we have tried to put no parking on, the biggest issue is right on the corner of Whale Pond, correct? When you make the turn either way?
Because there are several
Rentals on each side.
No, not Whale Pond. My husband made a mistake. There are
No, it's
rented.
No,
That's what-
There are rented.
your husband's right, miss. Kidding. Go ahead, I'm having some fun, come on. Go ahead.
I'm talking about.
No, we really
No, you got-
can't record it.
Excuse me.
I want to make sure it's okay.
I'm talking about, or rather referring to, yeah, it doesn't work. The rented houses have on a weekend.
Yes,
Oh, you know, must know.
I know exactly. It's a
What
court.
you've done about it.
Listen, I'm going to tell you what we tried to do.
Apparently hasn't done much.
Easy. So actually, I lodged a couple of complaints. So the first house on the corner, if you notice that there's 5 cars parking in the driveway, the illegal driveway, and the 2 vans in the backyard.
And at night, they have visitors. that
Correct.
park
All the way up the street.
I counted 8 cars.
Now, having said that, the house next to them, I believe, are college students. So in deference to them, you have the whole side of the street. The issue is on the other side of the street as well. So what the police have done is told, because they were parking illegally on the south side, the house on the south side, they were parking between the driveway and the corner. So if they don't park between the driveway and the corner, it is a lot better, because now you can make the turn. But I agree with you, I don't know that we're going to get both sides, but we'll probably get one side.
It's both sides.
I know.
It leaves a little passageway.
Correct.
Very dangerous when you're making a quick turn.
Correct.
for a visitor. Okay, that was one. Secondly, no complaint, request. I called about, having a garage sale. I came here in January. And you said you'd take it under consideration. I believe the mayor addressed it. Are we having one or not, of spring and a fall? It doesn't cost anything for anyone.
What did
It's
we
not
decide? Did
anything.
So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we had one, and we will have, my understanding is one each, I was going to say semester, right? Sorry, I used to be in college a lot.
Not each season, but spring and
Spring and
spring
fall.
and fall.
Right.
Right, that's-
But I think the difference, I believe, is that we're not going to do as much advertising of where everything is, because it's a lot of work for us to post that. But yes, there's no fees. You can have a garage. When we do it, there's no fees for the garage permit at that point. So when we do a community one, that's the benefit of doing it. You don't have to pay the permit. If you want to have your own garage sale, you can still do that.
No, I'd rather,
Right, but I think the limit, the amount of work that it takes for the township to publish all of that, to put all the locations on, we may still do it, but I don't know that that's going to be the case. Sound right?
That was from Tracy.
Yes, Tracy.
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thank
You're
you. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Seeing here none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending. If you celebrate Easter, happy Easter.